The same boxing fans, they're the way they react to things and the way you advertise and promote to them, it doesn't change anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody thinks, well, it's different. This is a walk-up town. Every town I've ever been to, they tell me it's a walk-up town. Bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
If tickets are bad, it's bad.
Yeah.
Right.
When tickets are bad, people say, oh, well, this is a walk-up town. It's a hard thing selling boxing tickets.
But what's funny is because, like, the normal boxing fan, a lot of them probably know you, but in the boxing world, everybody knows you. And when Jerry Truax told me that he used to work, like, you work for Lester Bedford? And he goes, yeah, that's how I got started. And I thought, my God, it's just, the things you pulled off are amazing. To be able to, you know.
Well, the thing is, I can only make a suggestion, you know what I mean? But, you know, I've bugged more than one promoter in my lifetime.
Right.
I mean, Bob Aaron will tell you, I'm a persistent guy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not, nothing happens. If you sit around and wait for somebody to come knocking on your door to make something happen, it's not going to happen. But I'm constantly looking for that big event to elevate boxing. To you know, I get excited about, you know, sometimes I get excited about very small events. But you know, the thing that really drives you is, you know, the hope that you drive by and you see that Cowboy Stadium. I saw them building Cowboy Stadium. Man, my mind started spinning. I parked across the street and was watching the construction of the Cowboy Stadium. I just sat there for like 30 minutes, and I was just staring at that stadium. And I went home and I picked up the phone and I called a friend of mine that was one of the biggest metal beer distributors in the country, and he's very close friends with Jerry Jones, and he arranged a meeting for me with Jerry Jones. Actually, I met with Stephen Jones and a guy with Chad Estes, one of the vice presidents initially, and that was a year and a half before the Pacquiao fight. The Cowboy Stadium was just under construction phase, and we kind of set the tone in that meeting to work towards getting a boxing event. And so, anyway, long story short, you know, I went to Aram and made the introduction, and I got the two parties together, and when Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather fight was the Cowboy Stadium was bidding on that fight, they decided to put it in Vegas. Well, we were really disappointed because Jerry Jones offered $24 million to buy the live gate to put it at Cowboy Stadium. To give you an idea, that's twice as much as the biggest guarantee in the history of boxing. The biggest guarantee before that was $12 million for Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis. Jerry agreed to put up $24 million, and it was a shock when they turned it down. I couldn't believe it. Well, when I started hearing that, okay, so the fight was going to go to Vegas, and they were trying to iron out the final details of it. It looked like it was falling apart. I called Bob Aaron and was sending him emails, you know, letting them know that, hey, we've got on standby. I've got the Cowboys on standby in case something happens. This fight doesn't happen, or it falls apart. You know, I think this would be a great opportunity for you, all that. So, anyway, I get a call one day. Bob was angry. He was at the courthouse for mediation. He was at the attorney's office for mediation, and they couldn't make anything happen. So during a break, he called me and said, "Get the Cowboys ready to go." He goes, "This thing's not going to happen." And so next thing you know, we wound up doing two Manny Pacquiao fights. But you know, if I just sat there, nothing would have happened. Nothing would have happened. You know, you would have had to. I think eventually Cowboy Stadium would have had a boxing event eventually, because somebody would have, you know, but sometimes you have to plant that idea in people's mind. But over the years, you know, you have to build trust with the promoters that they know you're not blowing smoke.
Right. That
it has some validity to it. And, you know, I have to spell out. You know, I'm known for some lengthy emails with an explanation of why I'm thinking what I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I had a whole laundry list of things that I think, like an Oscar fought at the Sun Bowl, or we put Manny Pacquiao at Cowboy Stadium, or any kind of major boxing event that I've ever worked on. It's almost like, you know, yeah, what's your reasoning behind it? Why do you think it's going to work? And then it has to work. So fortunately, you know, I would say probably 90% of the boxing events I do, do as well as we hoped for it to do, or in some cases, it exceeds expectations.
Right.
And so, but you have to be realistic. And you have to have a pulse for the fight fan and what I think that's the thing that I do best is that I have a pulse for the boxing industry and for the fight fan, because I've been involved for so many years. I worked on 500 boxing events probably over the years and over 100 world title fights, and so after a while you get a real pulse for it. So, but then I actually go, but a lot of people don't understand what I do. I'll kind of explain to you. I manage and market the events for promoters. A lot of people think I'm a boxing promoter.
I always thought you were a boxing promoter.
No, I'm not a boxing promoter. I promoted for 3 years from 1981, 82, 83. Okay, I left boxing for 2 years to represent baseball players, and had for a law firm in Dallas. And I came back in 1985. At the end of 1985, Main Events had signed 5 Olympians: Holyfield, Pernell Whitaker, Tyrell Biggs, Meldick Taylor, and who's the other one? Oh, anyway, so they had the 5 Olympians, and Dan Beaver called me, asked me if I would be interested in being a site coordinator for them for all their fights on ABC's Wide World of Sports. They signed a 3-year contract with them. So I told them no, I turned them down. But then the lawyers I were working with, they wanted to move me over to football and drop the baseball program. And I was the guy who was recruiting and representing the baseball players. And I was like incredibly disappointed because I had so many good players, I thought, at the time. And of the 18 players I had, 14 wound up in the big leagues, one of which was John Kruk.
Wow.
One of which is Kirby Puckett, who ended up in the Hall of Fame. So I had some, if those guys had stayed in the baseball business, they would have been big agents. But anyway, so they dropped the baseball program, wanted me to move over to football. I wasn't a football guy. I wasn't interested. So Dan called me at the right time, and so I took the opportunity, and was making twice as much money as I was making for the law firm. And so, but I started my own business, the Bedford Agency,
right,
which I still have now. And
so, what exactly is the Bedford Agency? What all do you get involved in?
It's Lester Bedford. I'm the janitor too. So I'm the president, the vice president. I'm the janitor. You know, I'm the accountant. No, I have a CPA actually, but people hire me to manage and market their events. I mean, I actually go in and I make all the facility arrangements, the hotel, solicit sponsorships for them. I go in and I develop the whole overall marketing strategies, produce promotion materials, make the media buys just like a regular agency would. I set up all the media functions, notify the media, put out press releases. In other words, from top to bottom, all they got to do is show up with the fighters. My job is to promote the fights, promote the events for the promoter.
Right.
Okay, and so my job is to make their life easy. Show up with the fighters, let Lester take care of all the details, and we can relax, just, get the fighters there when we need them there, and let everything happen. And, and I think that.
Well, I honestly thought you were the promoter because you're always behind such big events. Did you do the event, the Chavez fight down in Houston too?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I've done every HBO fight and Showtime fight in Texas in the last 25 years except for one.
Right.
Yeah, and I can tell you they did a lot less to gate than what they hoped to do.
Yeah. Now, but you were talking about one time of maybe being a commentator for HBO. Or...
Well, no, I did some color commentary for HBO International and their Showtime International, the international broadcast.
Right.
And I have a real diverse background in boxing. I've managed a couple world champions along the way, helped develop a lot of fighters, a lot of world champions, and I was involved in their careers. But I think I have a pretty good diverse background. I'm not just a journalist trying to be an announcer.
Right.
I've actually been in there and experienced having to set up training camps and having to deal with organizations, deal with promoters, negotiate with promoters and such. And I was a little, even though I was just an amateur fighter, I still, at least I had the experience of being hit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And know that it's not
So
that it's not pleasant. And I was a journalist too. I wrote sports for the Fort Worth Star Telegram, major paper here for 4 years. 2 years while I was going to school and 2 years after I got out. So I have a journalism background, which really helps me in everything that I do, because the writing abilities that help me develop there, I use every day in my work. So so I have like a real diverse background. I've done everything except for train fighters. And
so is that in the future maybe, or have you ever thought about doing that?
No, but I tell you what, when I listen to the corner, sometimes I think I could do a better job.
I think so. After watching you run last night up and down the court, and it's because what are you, 57?
56.
56.
Yeah.
You're in pretty damn good shape for 56 years running.
Well, you know what? It's funny is that my whole life I always wanted to stay in shape because my dad was a 9-year minor league baseball player, but he was always well conditioned when I was growing up. He was always the muscled up thin guy. But my dad was an interesting guy. He was a 9-year minor league baseball player, but in the off season, 3 years he was in the roller derby.
Oh my God!
Funny? He was in the roller derby. He played basketball against the Globetrotters on a team against the Globetrotters one year. He was a presidential guard for President Truman on the USS Missouri when they signed a peace treaty for World War II. And he drove race cars.
Is the city of Bedford named after your family
No,
by chance?
not at all.
No,
not at all.
Chance?
No, not at all. But what's interesting about my dad is that when he was 50 years old, he could bench press 300 pounds and dunk a basketball, and he was 6 foot. He was 6 foot, not even 6'1", 6 foot and a half inches. I mean, it's hard to find a guy 6 foot that can dunk. I don't care what they're, but a 6 foot, 50-year-old white man. I mean, really. I mean, he was just a great motivation for me to always stay moving and stay in shape, and so even after I quit playing baseball, I'd still always wanted to maintain that, the ability to run. That's what I love about refereeing basketball, is to get out there and just run.
Right.
Because I played football, baseball, basketball. I was in judo. My dad had me in everything because whatever they had going on at the Boys Club or the Jewish Community Center, which he was an athletic director for 25 years, he had me in everything, So, it's just everything involved running. So I love getting out on the grass and go run. And I started playing baseball again when I was 42. I was kind of bitter when my college baseball career was over because I didn't get a chance to sign. And I thought I was, everybody thinks that, they're good enough to play at the professional level, and several guys I played with were drafted. My last year we had 6 players drafted in my college team, including my backup catcher. The guys that backed up to me was drafted and I wasn't, but he wasn't good enough to play on the college. But he was a big guy. So size was always a problem with me. 5'10", 180 pounds just wasn't big enough. But anyway, so I've been an athlete my whole life, and I never want to lose that. I don't know, if I'm 70, I'll be out there. I'll be out there running. But Pete timed me on a 60-yard dash. We were timing all of our players, and Pete said, "Get your ass out there, Lester. I want to see what you can run." I ran a 7 flat when I was in college. When I was in college, I ran a 6'8", 6'7", 6'8".
Wow.
And to give you an idea, we had 3 guys on our team that ran a 7 flat or less. These are guys that play professional baseball. So, but I've always run short distances and sprints. And when those guys take off down the court, my goal is to beat their ass down the other end. Mm-hmm. The girls are slow. It's easy to keep up with them, but. So I love the referee basketball because it's quick decisions, you're moving, and plus I like the camaraderie of the other, continue to meet people, coaches, and other referees. And if you just stay in boxing and that's all you do, you get consumed with it.
Yeah.
I enjoy boxing much more if I do other things.
Right.
So I'm constantly moving.
Well, the demand for me, is like on the Arizona scene, because it was so dry for so many years when all the controversy and everything was going on, and that the state bill 1070 with the immigration bill was a big factor on bringing a lot of shows to Arizona.
Yeah.
And it still is, but the last year it's really been a big improvement. And
Excuse me.
go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
got a promoter I've been
Okay.
looking for
No
2
problem.
days. Hey, Tom. Hey, how's it going, man? Yeah. No, I know you're busy. So.